If God does exist, then why is there so much suffering? By the end of this debate, you'll either wake up or be more confused than before. Why does a religion that talks about love, peace, and kindness cause the death of people in today's world? And why did a scientist who could have changed the world abandon science? Today, I've brought 3 guests. 1 Christian, 1 Muslim, and 1 atheist. None of them are willing to back down from their positions, and each believes that only their own words are true and that they alone are right. In some countries, just saying that God is the truth can get you a death sentence. And despite all these dangers, I want to present Richard Dawkins' book, The God Delusion, to you. Stay with us until the end of the video, rest assured you won't regret it. Let's go meet our guest.
Hello, I'm Mary, a 30-year-old Christian. Nice to meet you.
Hello, I'm Ali, and I'm glad to be part of this program to answer questions on behalf of the Muslim community. Hi, I'm Dr. Brian. I'm someone who hasn't been able to believe in religions. My knowledge and research so far have led me to conclude that God doesn't exist. Maybe science will prove it one day. I follow evidence and reason.
First of all, let's listen to what George Carlin has to say, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts on his remarks.
Religion has actually convinced people that there's an invisible man living in the sky who watches everything you do, every minute of every day. And the invisible man has a special list of 10 things he does not want you to do. And if you do any of these 10 things, he has a special place, full of fire and smoke and burning and torture and anguish, where he will send you to live and suffer and burn and choke and scream and cry forever and ever till the end of time. But he loves you.
God is not an invisible person. His rules are for us to live well, not to limit us. If someone makes a mistake, God is always forgiving and wants us to return to him. God is loving and wants us to have the best life.
Religious belief offers a deeper perspective on life and our responsibilities to ourselves and others, not just a simple story. Why so much hostility? What exactly is the problem with religion? Why not let people believe what they want? Just like astrology or crystal energy, aren't these just harmless beliefs?
The hostility that I or other non-believers sometimes show towards religion is only verbal. I don't bomb anyone, behead, stone, burn, crucify, or crash planes into their towers just because of religious differences. You think you are right because you have read the truth in your holy book, and since we haven't read it or have misunderstood it, we are wrong. But that's not true. Besides reading the holy book, we also examine scientific knowledge. If there is evidence that contradicts the holy book, you reject that evidence because you say your book is true and those evidences are wrong. But we accept the evidence, and if better evidence comes along later, we reject the old evidence and accept the new one. And that is exactly the point where you come under attack, because religion claims to know things we cannot understand. My frustration comes from not being able to understand why you ignore the strong reasons science, evolution, and development talk about. In reality, religion hinders the progress of science, so how can we just sit quietly and watch? Wait, don't rush. Where exactly has religion stopped science? In fact, Islam encourages science. Even Imam Ali, one of our Muslim leaders, said, "Seek knowledge even if it is in China." By China, he meant even a faraway place. Still go and seek knowledge. A clear example is a man named Kurt Wise, who was a prominent geologist with several degrees from reputable universities. He was deeply influenced by his religious beliefs and came to accept that the Earth is less than 10,000 years old. He was smart enough to notice the conflict between science and religion, so he started cutting out parts of the Bible that didn't fit with geological evolution. But for reasons I've explained in previous videos, which I won't repeat here, he eventually accepted that God was right and we were wrong. He rejected evolution and gave up his scientific dreams. In his talks, he said, "This is the word of God, and I must stand firm in my faith."
In fact, a faithful and pure person like that is admirable, but that scientist may have overestimated and made such an assumption in his mind. We say that science has advanced this far today, and later, when scientists continue their efforts, they will realize that today's science was mistaken.
This always leads to the same kind of confusion. If science discovers something new, you change your course and the interpretations that prevent people from understanding the scriptures superficially, as you say. In fact, you interpret the Bible yourself, and whenever science finds something new, You change the meaning of the book to fit your view. For example, the Quran says that the earth was created in 6 periods. What is your response to this timing?
Yes, the Quran says the earth was created in 6 periods, but it doesn't give many details and allows scientific discoveries to clarify them.
Yes, exactly. That interpretation you made is exactly what I was talking about. You've moved along with science. Before, according to your traditional interpretations, you used the number of prophets to say the Earth's age was between 6,000 and 10,000 years. Maybe with advances in science, your interpretation changed like this, and many of the verses you call miracles in your book have been interpreted this way. Well, let's leave this topic for now and talk about it later.
So, if you think that Christianity, Islam, and other religions are man-made and just happen to spread by chance and for the reasons you mentioned in previous videos, then maybe the prophets who brought these religions wanted to make themselves famous in the world. And how do we know that you, with the perspective you presented, aren't trying to make yourself famous and start a business like other religious leaders? And that you're one of the first people to come up with this idea, so that's it?
Well, first of all, I admit that prophets and founders of religions may have human motivations, like anyone else who wants to leave a lasting impact. But what matters is that instead of focusing only on their intentions, we look at the message and real effects of their teachings. How an idea forms and why it becomes popular is a complex issue and can't simply be reduced to selfish motives or a desire for fame. Second, as someone with an atheist perspective, I'm not trying to become famous or start a business. I'm seeking a better understanding of the world and humanity. Even if these ideas are familiar to me, my goal is just to ask important questions and search for the truth, not to gain power or fame. And third, we have to accept that every person, from prophets to atheist philosophers, wants to make an impact in some way. But the difference is that I put my ideas to the test, critique them, and am ready to admit if I'm wrong. Unlike many religious systems that rely mostly on unquestioning faith, in the end, what's important is that we always look at all beliefs with an open and fair mind and evaluate the facts without prejudice.
Dr. Brian, did you know that what you just said is punishable by death in many countries? According to laws 30 and 259 in Pakistan in 2001, a university professor stated that Muhammad was not a Muslim before the age of 40, which led to a death sentence being issued against him. Similarly, in 2000, a man named Augustine fell in love with a Muslim woman and was not allowed to marry her. The man claimed that he had converted to Islam, but later he was sentenced to death. But it was not clear whether this sentence was given to him because of his fake conversion or for other reasons. And in 2006, a man named Abdul Rahman in Afghanistan who had converted from Islam to Christianity was sentenced to death, and he is now a refugee in Italy. It's the same in Christianity. In 1922, John William was sentenced to 9 months of hard labor for the crime of blasphemy.
I have a question for my Muslim friend. A few years ago, I saw a video of a 27-year-old Palestinian who wanted to do something unpleasant and destroy an Israeli vehicle. When he failed in an interview with a New Yorker journalist, he said, "I love martyrdom, and I just wanted to become a martyr by destroying the oppressors." When the journalist asked him what drove him to seek martyrdom, he replied, "The power of the Spirit takes us to the skies, but the power of material things takes us to the depths. Whoever seeks martyrdom frees himself from material attractions." Look how beautifully he speaks and how determined he is in his actions. What do you think of him, Ali?
In fact, that 27-year-old young man didn't do anything wrong, and you're not seeing the whole picture. Israel is a regime that has been causing problems for Muslims around the world for years, and that young man had to do that to defend his homeland and family. And if you just stand there and let anyone come and do such a thing to your family, maybe you should think about yourself.
In my opinion, in any religion, moderation is better. That means neither going to extremes like that young man, nor being too dismissive like Brian.
No, actually, the teachings of moderate religion are, in fact, an invitation to extremist religion. It slowly grows in a person's mind, and the individual can't see past it and acts with extremism in their religious practice. Christianity, just like Islam, teaches children that unquestioning faith is a virtue, and that what they believe doesn't require evidence or proof. And in my final point, if there wasn't a powerful weapon called heaven and the afterlife, how else would the youth of a land kill and destroy each other just to enter paradise? In most bloodshed, both sides have died and killed over their beliefs. thinking they will enter eternal heaven. Without these ideas, there would be no reason for wars like the Crusades, the wars of ISIS and the Taliban, or the Israel conflicts. In reality, the dangers of atheism are less than those of religion.
I am a researcher in search of the truth. And on this channel, I present the views of philosophers and researchers about religions and all the truths of life for you. If you are looking for these kinds of truths, be sure to subscribe to our channel, and if you enjoyed this video, like it and share it with your friends. In our next video, we want to show how a religion was instilled in your mind during childhood, but now you think you chose it by your own decision, and Dawkins explains this in detail. And likewise, in future episodes, we will share the views of Muslim thinkers with you. Be sure to stay with us.
Goodbye and take care. Stay with us for the next part of our research. There's one more chapter left from Dawkins' book, The God Delusion, that I want to use to show how religion is implanted in our minds during childhood, even though we think we choose it ourselves.
Goodbye. I'll try to make more video suggestions to prove the Christian religion. Stay with us and let's see who makes the stronger argument.
Join us as we present the thoughts of a great Muslim thinker after this playlist ends.